Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seventh Man Podcast. I'm Will Beverina. I run Dimer2K.com and write about the NBA 2K League.
And I am Josiah, otherwise known as AJ113, and I cover the league for TSN and for Operation Sports and for PaceAndSpaceOdyssey.com.
Nice. We're back for episode 10. We're in the double digits now. You can check out all of our previous episodes on the YouTube channel. And we have the past few episodes on iTunes and Podbean. As always, we want to thank everyone who has listened to any of the episodes so far. The support is always appreciated. I want to give a quick shout out to my sister Alex, who texted me last week to let me know the sound quality for the podcast was better. Apparently, she listens to the podcast, Josiah, even though she doesn't play 2K or watch the league or anything, as far as I know. And I had no idea she listened to the pod. So, big shout out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big shout
And
out.
thank you to everyone who gave us some feedback on the sound. Much appreciated. But let's talk about the playoffs, what we've all been waiting for. Everyone's bracket, including yours and mine, Josiah, got completely wrecked in a wild weekend. Number one, Blazer 5 Gaming, number one seed, Blazer 5 Gaming, out in the first round. 8 seed Knicks Gaming and 6 seed Heat Check are in the finals. What are your general feelings about what we saw this weekend, Josiah?
Sheer madness. Does that sort of encapsulate matters?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. It was kind of the entire season crammed into one weekend. The Knicks, heavy underdogs, making a huge late run, as it were, late in the night at least, to shock everyone and advance. 76ers putting up serious points, sort of falling 5 out, highs and lows, mostly highs. It was crazy. It was really crazy, and it was in being crazy, it was kind of great.
Yeah. The 8 seed Knicks, who I guess I'll give you some credit. You said they had a 40% chance of beating Blazer 5 when we did this last week. And I put them at around like 25%, and they beat them. So good work there.
Yeah, or something. I'm sure you're just lulling me into a false sense of security before lampooning my other picks.
Well, here's the thing, Josiah. The NBA 2K League, well, I guess, Francis, who does the social media for the league, shout out to Francis, great guy, contacted you and me, among other content creators, asking for brackets. And while everyone got that left side of the bracket completely wrong, everyone picked Blazer 5 and the Raptors to win. Neither of them won.
I would just like to warn
Okay.
listeners of potential technical difficulties incoming.
Yeah, no,
potentially,
no.
possibly, quite possibly.
This is the one part of the podcast I'm going to make sure gets in, because I'd just like to point out really, that I had the best bracket out of anyone, including yours, because I picked a perfect right side of the bracket, picking the Heat and the 76ers to get to the semifinals, and then picking the Heat to the finals. I was the only one to pick the Heat to the finals. Just wanted to point it out, Josiah.
Also, note him beating everyone else who made the involved that Francis recruited. That meant he beat out 3 other people. So just sort of decreasing the level of air and the level of heat in the air.
No, it was 4 other people, including yourself.
Who was no? It was Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, you.
Oh, 3 others beside me. 3 others beside me.
Yes. So 4 in total. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say.
But I just discounted some, like, I don't remember. Someone picked the Wizards to go to the finals. I kind of forgot about that one pretty quickly. So apologies
Okay.
for my bad math. I'm not here because
Okay.
of my math
You're
or my
trying to
picks,
discredit me.
apparently.
He's trying to discredit me, folks.
40%,
Anyway.
40%, and
Yeah, okay.
and
Okay.
I shocked myself. The Knicks shocked me, but as I said in the story I recounted in a very very late night Periscope, I said at the beginning of the very first game the Knicks played, I said to the guy sitting next to me in the studio, shout out if you're listening, give me a holler if you're out there. I said that the Knicks would shock some people, and they like went on a 20-4 run to open up the game, and then they almost lost it, but they eked out the win. But they're proving me right, even though obviously this is not what I had in mind. That it's just a remarkable season.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the Knicks um, directly after the ticket when they won the ticket and they got the 8th seed. They finished the season 5-9, I want to say. But immediately after that, that ticket, when they still had a bad record, and we talked about it, and we were like, do they actually have a shot at beating Blazer 5 in the playoffs? And we said they absolutely did. Just the way they were playing post patch, with Adams' resurgence and Goofy, looking like definitely deserving of that ninth overall pick. Let's just, I gave you credit, but really, I deserve a little bit of credit too, right? Because I kind of called it. Yes? No?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll give you credit. I'm not gonna say you called it. I'll give you credit. You didn't call it though. If
Okay.
you called it, you would have put it on the site. You imagine the glory you could have had by picking
I
Knicks.
could have.
Could have been somebody. Could have been a contender.
I mean, some people pick the Knicks, but it seemed mostly to be Knicks homers, to be honest. Uh,
Apparently, it's good to be a Knicks homer nowadays. What a wild world.
yeah, well, I mean, they're in the finals, so can't do much complaining there. Uh, I mean, we're talking about them already. Do you want to talk about what happened in this Blazer 5 Knicks game?
Yeah, yeah. Let's get it out of the way. Sorry, Blazer 5 fans.
Uh, 82-78 final score. This one went right down to the wire. The previously mentioned Adam and Goofy having fantastic games. Adam 30 points, 11 of 14 shooting, 4 or 5 from deep. Goofy 21 points, 13 rebounds. Um, Blazer 5, like I said, this one was close, and then some, I don't know, you call it 2K shenanigans happening with the backboard blocking a wide open walnut layup. But there were definitely other problems for this team. Uh, they sat Grant Monster for reasons I don't know. That guy is one of the best sharps in the game. I'm not sure why he was sitting, whether that's an off the court thing or just kind of overthinking the tactics there. But Mama, I'm that man not having his best scoring game. He had 20 points, but on 9 of 21 shooting and 2 of 10 from deep to go along with 16 assists. But uh, uh, just even they scored 78, so like it's still pretty good, but just definitely some sloppiness there, and they left the door open for the Knicks the entire game. Josiah.
Yeah, a big focal point in my mind going in was how just the all important pick and roll battle. I wasn't so worried too much about Nate doing work against that boy shots. I'm with you. I'm not sure what Grant Monster was doing on the bench. This seems almost one of those gratuitous lineup changes that I so dislike. But it's the playoffs. Teams trying to come out with their best strategy, so I'm not going to say it was gratuitous. But Goofy was really really good. Not just on offense, where he had Adam obviously have probably the best chemistry in the league on the pick and roll, rivaled, only by Mama and Walnut. But Adam was able to shoot 4 or 5 from three. That's phenomenal. That means Goofy was dragging a lot of defenders with him on his dive to the hoop. Um, but what Goofy did so well on the defensive side of the ball, and something that I thought the Blazers might have taken a little more advantage of, was that throughout the new look Knicks, since the patch, I've said that one thing that Goofy sort of likes to do on the pick and roll is he really likes his hedge, um, and so to combat that, I thought the ball would go down low more, but Goofy was phenomenal. His timing was on point. The team as a whole played pretty well. But Goofy, a very underrated part in helping Mamba to that 2 of 10 shooting from beyond the arc, closing out well, baiting almost Mamba into thinking he had the open shot, and really doing a good job against a similarly lethal pick and roll combo.
Yeah, talking about Goofy as well, the rebounding, I think is one of those things where that's how you beat Blazer 5. And Blazer 5 is one of the best rebounding teams in the
They,
league, I
they were
want
the
to
best.
say.
They were the
Mo-
best, the
yeah,
best team.
mostly mostly because of Walnut. Walnut's a great rebounder, but when the Kings gave the Blazer 5 so much trouble, it was because Moody was out rebounding Walnut, especially when it came to the offensive rebounds. Moody was grabbing his fair share. Goofy has become, I want to say, the best offensive rebounder in the league at this
Say it.
point.
Say it.
I mean,
Say it.
he pretty much is, right? And uh,
I, I'm trying. I'll try and think of a better one, but don't hold your breath.
yeah, um, that was huge here, and it was huge in their semifinal series against Cavs Legion. I even tweeted, I don't understand how he's so good at it, and it's especially crucial when Adam didn't miss a lot this game, but there's some games where Adam doesn't hit everything, and that offensive rebounding really comes in handy when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I always have thought rebounds were sort of an undervalued aspect of the game, and part of the reason Blazer 5 was up top was that famous Periscope is popping up in the background. Content creators helping content creators, um, but yeah, rebounding was a big part of why Blazer 5 was right at the top, and Goofy managed to level the playing field on that front, and the Knicks were just able to win enough of the other battles, with the rebounding sort of neutralized, for them to get the win, and it's remarkable, but you know. Remarkable is a pretty accurate way, I think, to describe the Knicks season.
Yeah. I mean, you know what they say, Josiah.
What do they
Uh,
say?
uh, Tournament Knicks, which I think really applies
I
here.
think this is the ethos of the tournament Knicks, but transposed to a different sort of atmosphere. I think they're the playoff Knicks.
Well, I mean, the play. Okay, we're not going to start
Not
that again.
yeah, not again, not again. I saw your cheap shot and I ably parried it. I think
I was really hoping you would bite on it.
I was not biting on that. Uh,
I was hoping you would agree with me, and then I'd be like, "Aha!" But
Not so
wasn't to
not
be.
so fast.
Um, the so Blazer 5, #1 seed, clearly the best team all season, knocked out in the first round. Brought up a lot of, I guess, rumbling, we'll say, about the format of the playoffs, especially the single elimination aspect of the quarterfinals. How, I mean, it's kind of unfair, isn't it? Especially to the best teams, and the upsets are cool and everything, and the craziness is cool and everything. But Josiah, I'm one of those guys. I want to see the best team win it. right? I think the best team deserves to win the league, right? They don't necessarily deserve to have some craziness happen just and their season comes down to one single game.
Yeah, the one
Uh,
game aspect.
what do you think? What do you think about the single elimination?
Yeah, the one game aspect is definitely tough and certainly not favorable for the higher seeded teams. Yeah, I'm hopeful it gets changed for next year. Um, I think part of the great thing about having in season tournaments is that you can play around with different formats and really run single elimination tournaments such as the Knicks one. But the playoffs, they're a different thing. They're a different animal. And so I would be supportive of having a 3-3-3 format, maybe even a 3-3-5. Really make the really distinguish the finals. But I mean, this is how it was this year. The Knicks just took advantage of that really well, and then proved that they could do it again in a 3-game series as well. So it's hard to scoff at that. But something for next year, I don't think it's such a problem that it was this way this year.
Why is that?
No, that's how it is. I mean, if you are the best team, then you should be able to win. You should be able to win each and every game. So yeah, I think they earned their number. The Blazers earned their number one seed because they were the best team throughout the season, and they should, in an ideal world, be given the chance to replicate that throughout a commensurately paced series. But again, you play to win the game. It's not about it doesn't come down to all these variables, especially in a game where players don't really get the actual players don't really get fatigued. So you're not playing to wear out a team throughout the series. It doesn't have to be a war of attrition. So the Knicks just won this game, and I don't think I want to take away from that.
I mean, I think part of being the best team though in the league is consistency throughout a stretch of games and having your season come down to just one game like
No,
that
well,
where you don't get to make any sort of adjustments.
here's the problem.
Just
Here's the problem. The problem is that home court advantage doesn't mean anything. That's the problem, I think, because if home
yeah,
court advantage had meant something, then if home court advantage could give teams an advantage, then you know Blazer Five really would have nothing to complain about. Um, but the fact that a home court advantage in the game does nothing, and b the games actually take place in New York, that was really the problem in terms of the one game series.
yeah. I don't know. I've always just liked the European soccer model of no playoffs, just the team that played the best all season wins it in the end.
That's ooh,
And I
ooh,
think
that's a I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
what I mean I know like we live in America, so
Right,
we
but
gotta
then
have
you
the
also have to
playoffs.
deal with
And
the two legs, which really is not good. I think that is really not the way to go.
no, I'm talking about like in
No, no,
soccer, like
I'm
over.
saying you're talking about the Premier League, but I'm saying
Yeah,
what if then that leads to getting stuff like Champions League elimination rounds with two-legged series, as it were. I don't think that works well at all.
I'm not saying the 2K league should do what they do in Europe. I was just pointing out I just
Except for the
like that
fact that you were
model, you know.
saying that's what they should do what is done
No,
somewhere in Europe.
I did not say they
That's
should.
that's
I
what
did
you
not say
said.
they should do that. I literally just said I like that model just because the best team wins the league.
Clearly, Will is not
That's
Will
all
is
I'm
not
saying.
content with being able to bust my chops about picking a slightly better bracket. He's also not happy that Blazer Five couldn't win it all and prove him right.
I mean, my goodness. Look, man. I, we both agree, I think, in either case that it shouldn't be single elimination.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Yes. Please change that
We
next
got to
year.
stop talking about the Knicks.
Yeah. Well, not
No,
too
we'll,
much,
we'll
I
come.
guess.
Let's come back to the Knicks. Let's
'Cause,
come back to the Knicks.
let's talk about the first game on Friday. 76ers versus Wizards District. We all know what the Wizards are about. The 5-out. 76ers, of course, doing their thing. Looking real good in this game. 92-73 final score. 76ers winning this one. What'd you see in this game?
I was pleased with this game in a purely tactical sense. 76ers were my pick to win it all. In this game, they really looked like they could do it. They just played the shot creating slasher well. I mean, yes, the shot creating slasher scored 47 points. Fine. But, and JT put up 23 points. Fine. He hit 4 threes. The other 3 players combined for 5 points. The 76ers, got 4 players in double digits. Radiant had a phenomenal game, 32 points, 14 assists. Steve's 28 and 10 double double. Feast 10 points, 19 boards. Even their lowest score scored 8 points, which would have been third on the Wizards. For me, the 76ers executed their game plan. They got threes up. They got threes up when it mattered, and the Wizards looked rigid. They looked really rigid, and just when they fell behind, it wasn't pretty. Um, and they fell behind early, and they didn't seem to adjust as well as I might have liked. They didn't seem to be able to break free of their all-consuming, 5-out shot creating slasher mold. And you know, this is the sort of thing that happens when you have a slashing stretch 5 at center. You collect all of 13 rebounds, and the other team collects all of 29 rebounds. Those aren't winning numbers for the 13 rebound team. Those aren't winning numbers at all.
Yeah, the 76ers looked really good this game, and to the point where I was rethinking my Blazer 5 pick after I watched this game. I was like, wow, Radiant going off for 32 points, 4 or 5 from 3, 14 assists. Steez and Feast were just dominating the boards, and Feast was doing uh, not only the on-ball defense was spectacular from Feast, the help defense from him as well was great. When Boot Painter was trying to pass it off after Feast would stop him, Feast would always make the correct, rotation and get over and make the right help, and uh, they look so good, and uh, they they outcoached completely the Wizards district. I mean, you talked about it's been said a million times what the problem is with the 5-out, and it's that it's hard to come back, and it's hard to match threes with twos. So it's exactly what happened this game, and 76ers got out to a pretty big lead, 23-14 after the first quarter. At that point, you dig yourself that much of a hole, and your main source of offense, Boot Painter 47 points. That's good for a shot creating slasher, which is
Yep.
even just saying
Yep.
that shows you how ridiculous that build is. But it wasn't enough, and just I mean, we've seen so many good games from the 76ers team. I mean, they're the number 2 seed. This may have been the best game we've seen them play all season.
Yeah, it's up there, and it makes me even more sad to rehash it now and look at how they lost the next 2 games. What can you do? What can you do?
Yeah. Yeah, the Heat Check series just it it wasn't the same when it came to the performance. The Heat Check defense really doing wonders on Radiant. Radiant was really where I don't know that alone where Radiant couldn't shoot and he was having trouble doing anything when he got into the lane. Uh, I mean, that was pretty much why they lost, why they got swept.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the Heat they've really bought in on defense, and the offense runs through a very viable MVP candidate, and but everyone still makes plays there, and they've just really bought in on defense. They so much better than they were before the patch, not because of the patch, but because they're playing harder, they're communicating better, and they get results like these. And again, they swept a top two team, and they did it convincingly, just like they beat this same top two team post patch earlier in the regular season. So in hindsight, perhaps you made the good pick, but
ah,
perhaps no, obviously,
wow.
but yeah, the Heat, they're really impressive. They're really impressive, and they switch well. They switch well. They they hit their shots. They're smart, and they play with a lot of fire. So that's a that's the recipe for a good team.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Heat's first round matchup against Pistons GT, Pistons the third seed. Uh, After that 76ers game and watching what Steez and Feast did to the slashing stretch five, I was like, you pointed it out last week that, Ramo could have a really good time against that slashing stretch five. And after um, I saw that 76ers Wizards game, I was like, okay, Josiah's onto something there. Ramo, 14 of 15, 29 points. Only problem is the rest of his team didn't quite show up. Uh, Joseph the Truth, 16 points, had a fine game, but uh, not great. Not a great offensive performance at all for the Pistons. And talking about that heat check defense again, showing up. And uh,
Look,
disappointing way for the Pistons to go out.
very disappointing way. You don't want to give up 54 points to a guy in a playoff game.
No.
Look, all but one shot that the Heat took, all but one shot, except for hot shot excluded, 3-pointers, all but one shot,
Wow.
and that that is committing to a strategy. That's buying in, and when you take so many shots, combined over the four players, when you take that many shots and that many are threes, you're going to score some points because threes are better than two for the offense. But yeah, Ramo had a I think a good game, not a great game, obviously a high efficiency game. Um, the start, wasn't he guarding Hotshot toward the beginning,
Yes,
which
he was.
did not go so well.
Did not work at all.
Speaking, I'll let you get to that in a moment. But another thing I wanted to point out that didn't go so well for the Pistons is their lineup change, switching I'm
Yes.
so far ahead and insanity. What am I going to say about this, Will Beverina? What am I going to say?
Identity and
All
integrity.
right, you've been hanging around me too long. Yes, identity and integrity. Please stick to it. The two teams in the finals have it, clearly have it. That's what I've been saying about the Heat buying in. The Knicks, obviously, I can touch on it more, but I don't understand. This is not a gratuitous lineup change. This is purposeful. Their offense wasn't phenomenal. It was not phenomenal beforehand. It was not phenomenal here either. And I'm not sure, maybe this is the lineup that worked really well for them in practice. But a practice is different from a game. I don't I don't understand why teams prefer to react to their opponents than prioritize themselves. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because uh, let's talk about soccer again, Josiah. I was watching, Amazon has this new documentary about Manchester City, going inside access, all access to their previous season last year, where they um, had pretty much the best season ever in the
Mm,
Premier League. And something that the manager of the team said, Pep Guardiola, he said, "We don't change our game plan based on who we're playing. We play how we want to play every single time, and we make teams react to us." And that's something that needs to be taught and needs to be learned in the 2K League. And to put it more succinctly, identity and integrity.
thank you.
Just stick with it.
Yeah,
Just stick with it. You're the number 3 seed. You
you
you went 9-5.
you,
Why make that big of a switch?
you gotta believe in yourself. You must believe in
Yep.
yourself. Also, Man City, best team ever in the Premier League. They didn't want to give it to Arsenal,
Yes.
unbeaten season.
Uh well, I guess what I mean by that is
I,
they won
Point
it.
right. They had the most points ever. I think.
They won it sooner than any team has
Okay.
ever won it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They blew some people out too, like everyone.
yes, they did. But
All of which is to
I
say,
mean,
returning it to this, don't blunder. Don't let things slip through your hands like Glorious Carius. Yeah, a lot of soccer. A lot of
just
soccer today.
yeah, what's up with that? But I mean, what also helps is making adjustments at the right times, and Ramos should have been switched off of Hotshot a lot sooner than he was.
Yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to put your best player on the other team's top score. We've seen that used a lot, especially with the shock rating slasher starting to go up against opposing point guards. But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work, especially in a 5-out situation where you're not going to be able to switch easily, right? A lot of these teams that started using their shot creating slasher against the opposing point guard had the advantage that they were going up against a pick and roll attack, and so could be counted on to switch fairly often, or just wind up rotating a fair bit. But with a 5-out, that's not generally the case, and Hotshot just knows how to take advantage of every small advantage he's given.
Well, the adjustment didn't even work out in the end because he missed 3 shots. Took 29 of them. You know who would have probably helped defending him, Josiah?
Tell me, who would have helped defending him?
Insanity. That guy who
Yep.
was switched to point guard for what reason?
Yep. And you know, Freddie Mendoza, I'm so far ahead, is my guy, but he can be my guy at point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really need to think up a new comparison for Hotshot. At the beginning of the season, I was calling him a very rich man's Al Horford, and I still stand by that as an excellent comparison for that time being. But now he's kind of like another all superstar small forward for the Miami Heat of recent years.
Uh, Never heard of him.
No, Mike Miller. No,
James Jones.
James Jones, legend. No, no, different James.
I won't repeat his name. As a Wizards fan, I can't do it.
Ooh, as a Raptors fan, nor will I. I'll call him LeBrisket. Yeah, because he cooks people.
Wow, incredible.
I'll be here. I'll be here all night, folks. Or daytime if you're listening to this.
Shall we move on to speaking of late brisket? Cavs Legion, GC beating Raptors Uprising. Raptors Uprising were kind of a trendy pick, Josiah.
They were indeed.
Like I said before, everyone in our little bracket challenge picked them. I saw a couple players on Twitter, Fab included, saying that they could see them winning it all. And this was a team that I think just a couple weeks ago, Raptors Uprising beat Cavs Legion 77-65.
55.
55.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, this time Cavs Legion getting the win 77-65, the final score. The Raptors just didn't look like their normal selves, Josiah.
Yeah, and I will claim a little credit here.
Okay, go ahead.
In last week's podcast, if I'm not mistaken, I said that if I'm the Raptors, I might want to, return to their really balanced offense because, last week I said they were really riding Kenny on offense, and I said I thought they might want to work in a bit more with Josh and all hell Trey, and they really didn't do that, and it didn't go so well on offense. Um, I think the Cavs played an incredibly good game. They sort of followed in part the Adam Goofy pick and roll mode. Hood again, just a natural scorer, was able to put up points. Their defense was superb. They rotated really well. Toxic kept catching people on cuts from the wing. TS Josh did not look the fleetest of foot on those. They incorporated some Wizards style action that was really effective. Savage Duor came in and made a really big and useful impact, and they played like the team that had they played like a team that blew out the opponent by 22 a few weeks prior.
Yeah, talk about the offense for Raptors Uprising. One of the things I talked about a lot when they finished season 7-1. One of the biggest things was their 3-point shooting. They found just incredible form when it came to shooting it from deep. Only 3 of 10 this game, so not great, and running the offense a little bit too much through Kenny and King Quay getting his, but rest of the team just not involved at all. And that incredible defense we saw the Raptors play against Heat Check in the final week of the season just didn't look to be there. And they had a lot of trouble with Hood and Sick, and really everyone. I mean, this was a decently balanced scoring effort from the Cavs, and Raptors just couldn't do it. Raptors didn't even touch 20 points in any single quarter. So just all around not great.
You know what? I'm going to give you some credit here. I'm just dishing out the credit left and right.
Please do.
But you were making a point last week with which I very much disagreed and continue to disagree. But you said that the Knicks should consider, taking Nate Call, their best defender, and putting him in a role where he will be more a part of the defensive action. And while they kept him on shots, which I think was again the right decision, and I think their victory proves me so. I think the Raptors would have been well served listening to you on this one and taking all hell Trey, their best defender, and putting him at a spot where he could have more of an impact defensively, because he didn't have such an impact defensively since the Cavs were really running things 1 and 5 with Hood and Sick. So I think I'll give you credit. You had a good game plan. Wrong game, but a good game plan that I think the Raptors would have been well served to use.
Well, in the Raptors' defense, we had no idea what the Cavs were going to run.
No, that's for sure. Though I think we both agreed that we would like to see Hood at point guard.
Yeah, did we?
I certainly did.
I wasn't.
I was giving.
I can't remember.
I was giving you the benefit of the doubt because I thought my thinking was don't put him at shot creating slasher, where we know all hell Trey is a really good defender. Put him at point guard, where he'll go up against the worst defender. Um, and the Raptors tried to counter with Kenny, but he just wasn't quick enough. And the Cavs just had a really really good game plan in this one. Really really good. Probably as good a game plan as I think they've had all year.
Yeah, helped them get to within one win of the finals. Of course, they won the first game against Knicks Gaming in the semifinals, but Knicks Gaming came back, won the next two. So, uh, should we let's talk about the finals? Why not? Uh, like I said, 6 seed and 8 seed. Whatever you think about that, that's what we've got. Um, what do you think of the? You're the guy who watches all the tape and everything, and really studies all the plays and matchups. What do you think matchup wise of Heat Check versus Knicks Gaming?
Well, I'm glad that it's going to be, barring a drastic change, it's going to come down to just whose strength is stronger. Um, because it's going to be the Knicks continuing to hammer their pick and roll. Adam, Goofy, that's what's worked. That's what's gotten them here. That's their identity. I think they have the integrity to keep it up. And then for the Heat, who's the man? Hotshot's the man. Hotshot's gonna get his shots. He's gonna get all the offense running through him. Basically 5 out, serious isolation with the shot creating slasher. So, in a sense, it's a strength on strength matchup because offense is really driving things. But I will also say that in being a strength on strength matchup, it is in part a weakness matchup because it might well come down to whose defense can defend the other team's strength better. And based on that alone, the favorite should be the Heat because they've been demonstrably better for longer on defense. As I said earlier, they've really bought in. They've played tighter. They've played sharper. They've been more aware. But the Knicks are here. The Knicks are here for a reason as well, and they wouldn't be here if their defense wasn't improved. Again, Goofy, phenomenal weekend in terms of defense. Besides for his elite offense, that's certainly a force to be reckoned with. Nate, and we know Nate can play the shot creating slasher, and he can play it not quite to a standstill, but he can play it to slow it down, which might be enough because the Knicks have a great offense. It's not the most intricate offense, but it's a great offense because sometimes simple is great. I wonder if the Heat bring back Majestic to the point guard, give him a build with some defensive abilities, not necessarily a defender, obviously, but they like moving him around to match up with some serious skill, or do they keep him at center to keep him on Goofy and try and limit that aspect of the Knicks offense? For the Knicks, it should be all about Nate, but you really have to stay home. You really, really have to stay home. Again, this is where Goofy's going to have to be smart again and be timely. Yeah, there's my strategy monologue for you.
You talked about a lot about defense there, and I must remind you, Josiah, at the ticket, Knicks Gaming beat 2 5-out teams. They beat the Wizards and the Cavs during that run. Nate Call, of course, being the primary defender. So we've said it plenty of times before, though. Heat Check Gaming runs something a little beyond your basic 5-out. Something much more complex than what the Cavs were doing and what the Wizards were doing.
Absolutely. I think Hotshot is probably the best all around player on the 5-out. Probably in my I'm willing to listen to arguments for Boo, but Hotshot is better at finding his teammates if the defense gives them any space. The Knicks in the turn, or the ticket, excuse me. Got all my tournament names matched up.
Yeah.
They didn't get a chance to go up against the Heat. The Heat actually beat them earlier in the season when everything was crazy. But the Knicks beat the Wizards again. I think Heat are better than the Wizards
Yes.
in terms of 5-out and other things, of course. They beat the Cavs again. Hood, more scorer. So I think they're going up against, for the first time in a playoff format, the shot creating slasher who can really facilitate. And so it's going to be so important for them to stay home because, again, looking back at their record, they've had the Pistons. That was sort of a hangover game for them coming off the big ticket win. They had the Bucks. The Bucks and the Heat are not comparable.
No.
They had the Jazz. I don't want to. I mean, again, not comparable. As fun a team as the Jazz could be, and then the Wizards in that big game. But I'm not. The Wizards really needed that game, and the Heat are really going to want this one. But the Wizards really needed that game, and if you remember from that game, they got a strong performance from Gilly, which made a huge difference. They had a remarkable third quarter run, but Poole only finished with 8 assists. They hit 4 threes. The Wizards did. And the Knicks had a bad shooting night as well, really bad for them. So this will be the true test for Nate, who I have the utmost respect for. He's a consummate professional, as well as a damn good defender. But this is not the 5-out that he has stopped. He stopped 5-out. This is not that exact same variation. So I think he's up. He could well be up to the challenge, but it's not, I think, the exact same as their run in the ticket.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I like to say I know what's going to happen, but no one knows. No one knows what's going to happen. Would it be bad for the league if the Knicks won?
Would it be bad for? No. If the
No?
Knicks won, that would be phenomenal for the league.
I mean, from the sense that a 5-9 team.
No, it would be phenomenal for the league.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Interesting.
It's the Knicks. These big market teams are kind of important. Hometown.
5-9 team.
Underdog story.
All right.
Heat winning would be good for the league too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Six seed. A similar, if not quite as dramatic, story of redemption. Famous enough is a story oft seized upon by unfamiliar media.
Yep.
Scorned MVP candidate. The narrative is all there.
All right. Well, I just said we have no clue what's going to happen. What's your pick, Josiah?
No. Oh my. Oh man. Oh, why do you put me in these situations?
Do you want me to say mine first?
Yeah.
Heat in 3.
Heat in 3. Look. Here's my thinking. Here's my simple thought process, which this is my thought process when I take away all the stats and the matchups and that. I think that the Heat are the better team. That's my gut. It's my gut feeling.
Yeah.
I also think that if I knew that the Knicks were going to win their first game against the Blazers, I would have picked them to go all the way. Because they're just, we've seen it. They're that streaky a team. They're that talented. They're that streaky. So if I'd known they'd win the first game, if I know they could advance, I would have picked them to win it all. But the Heat are good. The Heat are really, really good. I'm just going to be contrarian, just so we have something to talk about, because
Wow,
I,
he's gonna do it.
Knicks in 3.
Wow.
I say that as a huge proponent of what the Heat do defensively, as a big, from the beginning, supporter of Hotshot. Look, I'm going to give the Heat a 60% chance to win the series, and I'm going to pick the Knicks.
So you're giving the Knicks a 40% chance once again.
Yep.
Just like you gave them against Blazer 5. But this time, you're picking them to win.
Yep.
Even though they only have a 40% chance of winning.
Yep.
That's interesting, Mr. Cohen. You said many interesting things during our time here on the Seventh Man podcast. I think that might be the most interesting thing you've said yet.
You know, I never. Yeah, I think back when we first started talking about this, I never saw myself as the contrarian, the guy who says the interesting things. But I don't know.
Meanwhile,
Flair for the
I'm the
truth.
level-headed, everyday man who the listeners can really relate to.
All right.
Because I make the correct, grounded
Let's
takes.
not, what do you mean the correct? All right. All right. All right.
Who had the better bracket?
Who gave the Knicks a 40% chance?
I gave him 25. You picked against them,
So did
so
you.
I'm taking your credit away retroactively. Sorry.
Well, sometimes you gotta go out on a limb. Knicks 40% chance. Knicks in 3.
Wow. Amazing.
Adam 37 points in Game 3.
Whoa.
I just want to throw a number.
Now we're talking.
I mean, Hotshot could average 50 for the series.
He probably will.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably will.
So, yeah, sometimes you got to go a little crazy.
Anything else you want to say about this finals matchup?
I cannot believe it's over in 6 days.
Yeah.
That is
crazy.
Insane.
It's bittersweet, you know.
It is. It is indeed. Wow.
And
we're gonna keep the podcast up in the off season, right?
Sure.
He sounds hesitant.
I mean, we don't plan that far
ahead. I have not thought about it. I sprung the question.
We literally get in here in 5 minutes before we start recording. We're like, what are we going to talk about?
No, that's only true when I'm late. When I'm not late, you have a nice game plan sketched out. When I'm late, you don't. All the secrets emerge.
Yes. Well, with there's plenty happening in the off season.
There's going to be a lot happening.
Expansion teams, the expansion draft next month. Expansion draft is 1 month away.
I will be there if it is on the date that it was so reported to be by Jacob Wolf of ESPN. I will be there.
Yeah. Sweet. I would like to be there. I would have liked to be at these playoffs.
Me too.
But
well, you should come up to New York for the. I think it's a Friday. If it's on that day, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Give it a shot.
Live podcast in New York?
Podcast. Wow. Fancy.
I don't think
that's not gonna happen.
No.
We could barely get the technology behind.
Yeah, we're not advanced enough for that. Anything else on your mind, Josiah? You know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about awards. Should we? Or does anyone care anymore?
Did you have a strong disagreement with any award, Mr. Clear Level-Headed Take?
We both picked Walnut, so
yeah, I didn't get to vote for the 2 awards he won. I mean, we all got to vote for MVP in a sense, but he would have been my pick for both.
Yeah.
Um,
The other ones,
I
don't have a strong feeling about the sportsmanship award.
no,
So
no.
cool, but I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Anything else though?
I think that's it.
You're yawning,
I'm yawning.
so I guess we
I
are
have
done.
not gotten much sleep recently.
So Josiah, tell the people where can they find you and all of your content.
You can find me at paceandspaceodyssey.com. You can find me at TSN. You can find me at Operation Sports. You can find me on the Big Blue Bird at AJ113_OS. Yeah. And hopefully you'll be able to find me at the expansion draft.
You missed one, I think.
Did I?
Did you mention your new website?
Yeah, it was the first thing.
I wasn't paying attention. Oh, okay.
It was a gratuitous order rearrangement. I brought it up front.
Oh, okay. Thought you were gonna save it for last and do a big spiel about it. I wasn't paying attention.
You didn't even know what the illusion was.
I didn't. You had to explain it to me.
It's a respectable.
Man,
it's a respectable illusion.
I don't do that much thinking, so sorry. But tell the people again, what is your website about? In case they didn't hear last time.
Pace and Space Odyssey is covering you. Well, not you, but you in the league. Actually, you in Pro-Am sort of starting to do that too. Covering NBA, NBA 2K, NBA 2K League. Some good articles on there. Some meh articles on there, but some very good articles on there. And some of your articles could be on there too, you the listener. Looking for new, unfortunately unpaid contributors. Yeah, it's fun. I wrote an article about Banana Boat Mellow talking to Hoodie Mellow. So yeah.
If instead of writing for Josiah, write for me, because I run Dimer2K.com. You can find Dimer2K at Dimer2K on Twitter. You can find me at Will Beverina, Beverina. You like that?
I'm simultaneously indignant and resigned.
Anyway, I guess that's it for tonight.
Oh boy.
All right. Good night, everyone.